Okay, we are recording. Welcome to the Mystic Podcast channel. Come on, man. You got
What's
to
going
fucking
on,
be
folks?
excited. You got to be excited. This is our premiere
I'm
episode.
excited.
I am excited. I have been excited
This
about
is
this
my excited looking face.
all freaking week. All freaking week I've been waiting on this. I wish it would tell me how long we've been recording, but I don't see that. So, anyway, how are you, Tom?
I'm doing
How
good.
are
How
you?
are you?
I'm doing good. So I'm Michelle. This is my brother Tom. We'll start out by I'll just explain myself real quick, and then we'll let Tom tell a little bit about himself too. So, as I'm sure he will attest, right? We have had we are a family that experiences paranormal events. All of us. I listen to grandparents talk about their experiences. I listen to parents talk about their experiences. I've had experiences my whole life. My first experience was, I think, must have been 3 or 4 because it's one of my first memories where I see that little red guy. I saw him. Now that is my, hey, that is my, rendition of the little guy I saw Tom dancing around Edna Clark's bird bath. You remember me telling that
Oh,
story, right? Yeah, that little red guy
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Then, when I was like 5, I know I was in school. I met the Hat Man. That's my rendition of my Hat Man, and just on and on. But it wasn't until about the late '80s, early, internet, that I discovered I wasn't the only person that ever saw the Hat Man. That weirded me out. So it's been an all my life thing. This is a hobby for me. I run several Facebook pages, Shroud Paranormal ITC, where you can see my ITC work. Most of it's at the 2015 period, right as I quit, which maybe we'll talk about sometime. And Shroud Paranormal Cryptid, because that's where I'm at now. Anyway, I'm excited. I'm excited about this shit. That's all I have to say. You freaking
Well,
gotta
I'm her
go,
brother.
man.
Well, I'm her brother, Tommy. You can call me Tom, Tommy, Thomas. You call me whatever you want to call me. Just don't call me late for
Tommy
dinners. I'll
Nine
take that as
Toes.
personal.
Tommy
Tommy
Nine
Nine
Toes.
Toes on TikTok. Um, but right down there, you'll see our the Central States Paranormal and the Central States UFO. Those are basically stuff I started on here. Uh, with my sister and friends, we have Central States Paranormal. We have
Yeah, there's a group.
encountered some stuff. We've encountered some good stuff. I would have to say the first time I've actually encountered anything paranormal, I was working as a security officer for Pinkerton Securities and Investigations at uh, at Monogram, or we called it a, what was that called before after that? I
Sorry
can't
about
remember what it was called. But basically, I saw while I was on patrol at night, being by myself, there was an old lady, and I was like, "Hey, you shouldn't be in here. Who are you?" And she just looked at me and kept walking on by, and I chased her all over the property and never could catch her. And then I had to tell the captain about it. I wrote an incident report about it, and then after a drug test, because they looked at the camera and I was hollering at nothing on camera, and I mean, honest to God, you know, these are things I
yeah,
get to
man.
enjoy.
No, that's
um,
great, man.
but
I remember that story. I remember when that happened to you. You were freaked out about that for a
well,
bit.
well, and the thing was, before that, I had an incident where I'd read a book called Vampires in the Mist, and I had read this book overnight, and I had gone to work after being up for 24 hours straight, and then I went and did my work, as a security officer, and then I went home, and I was chasing something, And I'm pretty sure that was a figment of my imagination. I'm pretty sure that was non-paranormal, but the old lady was. I
Yeah.
had had plenty of sleep before that, so I
Yeah.
know that was a person that was there.
Yeah.
So that was something that did happen to me.
Yeah.
Um, but other than that, I mean, I like to dabble. I like to read a lot of old history stuff, ancient history mainly. I've been kind of looking at like Noah's flood. I've been looking at the Younger Dryas, which we'll talk about on here. I like to talk about a lot of stuff. I like history, and so that's kind of a hobby for me. On top
You're a
of being
smart
part of the
guy.
paranormal with my sister,
You're a
so
smart guy. This is the one. This is a guy that's going to know the pertinent historical details about a subject that matter. That freaking matters, and I'm terrible at that. I just fly down the rabbit hole.
I'm I'm not that smart. I mean,
How old were you when you
I'm
had
just
your
happy I
first
graduated high
paranormal
school.
experience?
Late 20s.
Oh wow.
That
No
that
experiences
that
as a
that
kid. Even in
at
West
Pinkerton.
Virginia?
That was that.
Even in West Virginia?
Well, there was something happened. So me and my cousin Troy were coming back. We were messing around at night, and we were coming back from another cousin's house, and we were heading back home. And we got to this area, and we heard like a snorting sound, and we didn't know what it was. And we took off running back to my this cousin Angie was her name,
Yeah,
and we
yeah.
went running back to her house. And I don't to this day I may have been a boar. I don't know, but it
Yeah,
was
that's
like
what
it
I was thinking, a
snorted,
pig. Yeah.
and we were gone. As soon as we heard that, we were
Wow.
like it translated in our brain as this is a boar, get out of here.
See, you were too
Something
little.
bad's going to happen.
You were probably still a baby. Do you even remember living in the trailer by grandma's house? Like in that
Uh-uh.
yard between Steve and grandma?
No, no, not at all.
Oh man, we lived there for a little bit, and something would come up at night and walk up and down that freaking trailer, and you'd go back there and all the grass would be flattened down and everything. And
Oh wow,
it was a two-legged walk. It was somebody walking up and down that trailer.
probably Bigfoot.
That's what who knows? Who it could be anything. It's the hills. But yeah,
A
there's all kinds of crap. Remember
lot
Dad's
of things
story
come out of
about
those mountains.
remember Dad and Chuck in the boat with the banshee screaming at him from the shoreline? Tell me you
Uh-uh.
don't remember
That
that.
I don't even remember. I don't remember being told about the banshee.
I was
He
told
did
that
not give me
story.
that
I told
information.
I was told that story at least a dozen times. Him and Chuck were fishing out on whatever it was the river, and they had a fire on the
You talking about
shore.
Chuck or Charles? You
Charles,
talking about Uncle
his
Charles?
brother,
Okay,
Dad, and
okay.
and Uncle Charles.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And they looked over, and this old woman was standing by their fire, just screaming at him.
Oh wow.
And do you remember the
Now,
story about
Grandpa,
what?
what's that? I'm sorry.
Dad laying on the couch and the light going at him like that, like it was
Uh-uh.
somebody. Yeah, and at that same exact time, Charles had broke his legs down the street.
Oh
I
wow.
cannot believe that you weren't told any of these stories.
No. Uh-uh. Dad told me. Well, I was going to say, Grandpa used to tell me and Chuck all kinds of stories when we're out there checking the trot line. But I
Yeah,
don't know whether to believe him because he's telling stories about how he lost his fingers,
I
which he
know.
lost them in the coal mine. And so he's telling me and Chuck that he picked banjos so much that his fingers just fell off so
I know.
fast. And then
I
and
know.
then there was a story. about how he got caught by the Mohawk Indians and they cut his fingers off and ate them in front of him. And me and Chuck just ate that up as little kids. I mean, that's 3 and 4 years old.
Wow. Wow. Oh my God. That is fantastic. You know, there was a lot of fun times when we was kids. We'll probably be revisiting a lot of stuff as we go along. So listen, let's get to what I'm excited to talk about this. And actually, Tom and I have been talking about this all afternoon. Tom and I have been pre-discussing all this stuff. Who has heard? Tom didn't until today when I messaged him about the CIA papers that they released. Actually, what was it? It was in the year 2000. I'm wanting to say August of 2000 is when they actually were declassified.
Oh, is that when they were declassified?
That was when they were
until the 28th of March.
See, no, they were, well, this is it. They declassify stuff. Technically, it's declassified. Anybody can look at it, but it never gets out. Yeah. You see that? The same thing happened when this remote viewing, those papers came out. Those things had been declassified. And what is being declassified, this particular incident happened December 5th, 1988.
Yeah.
1988. So the remote viewing had to be declassified before anything else can be. And now here we're getting everything else. That's what's happening. So I'm going to summarize this, okay? December 5th, 1988. They were still in the thick of the remote viewing experiments. And what they were doing, as I've learned researching this, is they were using remote viewers to do like major drug busts, finding where people were storing guns. You know, they were doing all this major criminal, surveillance using these remote viewers, right? They were doing major drug busts. They were finding things, okay? And this remote viewer, as this report labels him, actually, it's not this report, it's a different report. 032 was how he's referred to. So it was remote viewer 32. He evidently had a 50% accuracy rate. So half of the time, he was right. And if you know the government like I do, that's damn good enough. Okay. Half the time is good enough. So December 5th, 1988, they did an experiment with him on a target container. They call it, the target is a container. This container has another container inside of it. The target is fashioned of wood, gold, and silver. Now, I'm reading the CIA paper, the session summary, okay? The target is similar to shape too, and they refer to this thing as AOL, and I don't know what that means, but whenever they say AOL, they're talking about this target, okay?
It probably stands for area of, and then I don't know what L would stand for.
Location? I don't know.
Area of location.
That could
be. It's very possible it's AOL.
That could be. Anyway, it is similar to shape as a coffin and is decorated with seraphim. It says, see the sketch, page 16. This target is located somewhere in the Middle East, as the language spoken by the individuals present seemed to be Arabic. Visuals of surrounding buildings indicated the presence of mosque domes, which they also draw a picture of. Individuals in the area were clothed in virtually all white and had black hair and dark eyes. One figure I homed in on wore a mustache. The target is hidden, underground, dark, and wet were all aspects of the location of the... Okay, dark and wet were all aspects of the location of the target. The purpose of the target is to bring people together. It has something to do with ceremony, memory, homage, the resurrection. There is an aspect of spirituality, information, lessons, and historical knowledge far beyond what we know, what we now know. The target is protected by entities. There it is. Remember earlier when I was talking to you, I couldn't find where they said entities. So the target is protected by entities and can only be opened now by those who are authorized to do so. This container will not and cannot be opened until the time is deemed correct. Once it is time to open the container, the mechanics of the lock systems will be found fairly simple. So it's just going to go click, 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 click when the time is right. Individuals opening the container by prying or striking are destroyed. Freaking Raiders of the Lost Ark are destroyed by the container's protectors through the use of a power unknown to us. That is crazy.
So,
Hey, I wonder if
okay,
there's a way I can bring this on the screen. Do you think? Let's see.
you might be able to.
Let's see if I can do this.
See if you have a view screen option.
Okay, I was trying to make this bigger. All right, we can get rid of that. How's that, man? All right, we'll go back. Anyway, so this is in a locked container, and these are the actual notes. This is as the guy was viewing. This is what he was writing. What do you think of this, Tom?
Well, I mean, remote viewing, I believe it happens, but I mean, based on knowing where the Ark of the Covenant is, based on a remote viewer, until they go to where he says it's at, I got to be skeptical. I can't go full fledged in there. And that's just me.
Right.
I mean, other people might. I'm not discounting. I'm not discounting remote viewing.
Yeah.
I think it is a thing. I think it's real, but
Right.
But until they find it and get it, I'm sort of a, just like being in Missouri, it's show me.
Yeah. Yeah. Doesn't that look like
know?
a tank? That looks like a tank.
Could be a tank or it could be like a bulldozer.
Oh, yeah, that's true. He talks about it. It's being wet. It's cold. It's heavy. It's solid. It's thick, high, hollow. I don't know what that word is. Old, sorrow, whatever that means. Containment, steel stone. I mean, these are just things. And I get this because as somebody who does medium work and channels, these are like things that come to you. You know what I mean? So I get what's happening here. There's that AOL. I was trying to find where. Okay, there's the mosque.
Yeah. Now, I mean, if people are trying to think that it's at the mount, the Temple Mount, where the
is that where the Jesus is standing?
No, it's over in Jerusalem. It's in the it's where the old Solomon, the second Solomon, I think it's either the second or the second Solomon's temple.
Okay.
Temple of the Mount. Basically, there's a mosque on top of it. Basically, Muslim faith has it under control, but the Wailing Wall is down there just below it.
Okay.
A lot of Jewish people go up there. They pray at the Wailing Wall. They put notes in the wall. For
right.
However, whatever they do, I'm not fully. I don't really know exactly.
Right.
But I'm just saying there is a thing in the Dome of the Rock there, that the Temple Mount. I've heard that there's like a stairway that leads down, and someone had went down into it one time, and there was someone, and I don't know how true this is. I read it in a book somewhere. I can't even tell you where I read it. But there was someone there, and they freaked out that they went down the stairs. It was like a sacred area, and then he ran out, and who knows?
Right.
But who knows the truth? But I do know with Solomon. So the story of Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. Are you familiar with that story?
About that much.
About that much? About that much?
Yeah.
Well, here.
Yeah.
So basically, the Queen of Sheba comes to Jerusalem and she visits King Solomon. And I guess they got to liking each other, did a little heing and sheeing, and she goes home pregnant. And
I
basically,
hate it when that happens.
yeah, And then I guess she arrived later once he was old enough, I guess, and she returned back to Solomon saying, "Hey, here's your son." You know, I
Right.
think it's Melianak, or something like that. I'm not sure if I'm even saying that right, but
Right.
basically she shows back up with her son, and and then they go through there, and supposedly because I guess it's the Babylonians. I can't remember if he just gave the ark to his son to take back to Ethiopia,
Hmm.
or if they knew the Babylonians were coming, and so they got the ark out of there and sent it to Ethiopia with his son.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, technically, Solomon is of the house of David, and that was like the sacred house in the Bible, and with like the Ark of the Covenant was all part of this house of David's, like the chosen family of God kind of deal.
They were
And
descended from the Anunnaki.
yeah, probably. But the thing is, they were, he was, I guess, getting the ark out of there. They snuck it out of the thing through an aqueduct, like an underground aqueduct tunnel. They snuck it out of there. And so, the way the story legend goes, they took it down to Ethiopia. I mean, so currently, it's still from a lot of people say it's still in Ethiopia. It stopped in a couple of areas, but it finally ended up in Axiom, where they have a temple, they have windows, they have like a dome on top of the temple. There is a priest that stays with the ark all the time. He's the only one permitted to go in and see, and there are armed guards around the A-47s, and they've
And
got
is
like
that
this wrought
where
iron fence with. Oh,
didn't Josh Gates do? Is
go
that where
ahead.
he went? Where Josh Gates did a show, Expedition Unknown. Is that where he went? Where
Yeah,
you're talking about?
it, yeah, right. That's
Okay.
exactly where he went. Axiom.
Okay.
And the
Huh.
thing is, so it's like, so I mean, that's where a lot of people think that's where the Ark of the Covenant is now. They don't have proof because no one's allowed to go into the temple.
Right.
They
Right.
will they'll fight to the death before they let anybody in that temple.
Well, that's because you're just going to go in there and blow up.
Yeah.
According to the notes,
Who knows?
if you go in there poking around the box, you're going to blow up. And I mean, if you didn't see Raiders, I can't help you.
Well, you don't poke around the box.
Don't poke around the box. Don't poke around the box. But he talks about
Don't.
like
You lose an eye. It's bad.
evidently
It's
there's
all fun and games. You lose
all
an
fun and games till we blow up the box. But evidently it's surrounded by people. He talks about people and then he says mummies. Now I don't know where they got entities, but
Uh-oh.
obviously in the notes before it was entities. So
Technology's getting the best of you.
is technology whacking out on you? There's a wheel. Smells decay, it says. This is just fascinating as heck.
Not sure.
Fascinating as heck. And I tell you, here's what's got me clinched into this crap. Okay. I sit here and I watch all the number one, go back to Edgar Casey, go back to Dolores Cannon. These people are long gone. Come forward
Right.
to people like Bashar that are now. There's just a plethora. Okay. They all talk about the same thing. And then sprinkled in there are things like this. They're like, yeah, okay, the pyramids, everybody knows about the pyramids right now. Tell me you know about the pyramids.
Oh, I know about the pyramids.
Right?
Talking
And
about
they're
the shafts.
supposed
Right?
the shafts, the columns, they don't know what they are yet. But how many people have come before us, people who are in the know? I'll just call them people in the know, okay? That have said these were energy plant. These were what we would call energy plants. This is how they powered. How many people have to tell us that this thought of our ancient peoples being this, we were more advanced before we are even now. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
I probably didn't even say that right. Supposedly Atlantis is going to be coming up pretty soon.
I believe it. Oh, that'll be fun.
It's just a matter of time.
I tell you what. I mean, here's the thing. I remember reading a book. I can't remember what this guy's name was, but he was supposedly an engineer at MIT, and he had saw designs or like the layout of the Great Pyramid of Giza, and he says that's a power plant. That's what what's in a power plant, because they've never pulled a mummy out of a pyramid. All the mummies, all the pharaohs that they have pulled out is the Valley of the Kings.
Right. They're buried in the sand. Yeah.
They've never pulled one. They're buried back in the Valley of the Kings. They're not buried they're not in a sarcophagus in the pyramids. And if you look at the like where they're supposedly the sarcophagus were supposed to be, these are huge boxes. I mean, they're huge areas.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, how the heck? I mean, there's this, whatever creature or person was buried in there had to be 12, 15 feet tall.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's like exactly what, my thing is, if they find these, they have shafts, or at least they have a drone, they've done some kind of ground penetrating radar, and they say, we found some sort of shafts or, poles or whatever it is underneath the pyramid, they should dig not in the pyramid, but just underneath it, and dig underneath it until they get to one of those. But the thing is, the Egyptian government won't let them do that.
That's what I was just about to say, man. They are very strict.
But if they could,
I
and
tell
they
you
came
what,
across one of those shafts and they had copper wrapped around it, then there's a smoking gun for a power plant.
Yes. I mean, they drew us pictures, but we still aren't convinced.
Right. They told us what it was.
Yeah. I mean, here's another thing. So there's a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy that.
No, it's always a conspiracy.
It's always a conspiracy. We as Americans have been really kept asleep on a lot of stuff like this. Really kept asleep. Like, purposefully, information has been censored from us. Because we talk, other people talk to people of other countries. I talk to people of other countries. And a lot of the stuff that comes out, they'll be like, I grew up knowing that.
Yeah.
Why? What would be the purpose of that? What's your feelings on, and I don't know how much you follow, Tom.
I'll tell you where exactly it comes from.
Well, allegedly right now, there's some alien activity ramping up. Okay. They're about to come in. Let me show you a rabbit hole. Now, I'm not saying I believe this, but here is one of the rabbit holes. We kind of all know aliens have been here forever. I don't think anybody is, I think that's been determined. They live amongst us. We don't even know it, okay? There are, just like us, different types, different classes, different systems. Everyone's got their own shtick, right? No different than human beings. And they're the ones that have been here on Earth. Okay, we're going to open the door to the rabbit hole now. All of these years have been the ones to shape things like they are, Okay. What's happening now globally is nothing new. Okay. This has happened over, and over again. The conspiracy is this is by design. This is by design. Going back to the Anunnaki and how they sent their people to, and I'm going to call them people, they sent their people to Earth to mine gold, wasn't it? To mine gold.
Yes.
And they said, dude, this job is freaking hard. We could take these creatures over here and splice. We've got workers, right? We've got people that can dig this gold for us. Their bosses got pissed about it, caused a big ruckus. There's 12 books on it. Just look up Zachariah Sitchin. And that is allegedly who we are the remnants. We are the, those were our that's where we came from, right? We are this. Okay. They have continued to make this world what they want it to be. Here's the deal, though. The good ones, I don't know if they're good or not, but the other ones are kind of getting pissed about it. Something's going on or something's about to happen that's kind of got everybody worried. Now, have you heard any of this?
No. Not one bit.
Supposedly, Bashar talks about it. Bashar even talks about it. Bashar talks about how that is how we were made. He follows right along with what Sitchin talks about, what's the other guy? Erickson? Who was the other guy that wrote about it as well?
Oh, Von Daniken?
Yes.
Eric Von Daniken.
He talks, he kind of pretty much validates what they say. And he also goes on to say, Bigfoot, there were a group of beings that escaped being spliced or being converted. And that's all these other creatures like Bigfoot. Careful. Yeah. That's a big cliff. But hey, at this point, I'm not shrugging off anything at this point because I have seen so much crap. Okay.
What do you think as an American,
oh my,
you are in the dark on a lot of stuff. I can tell you where it comes from. That comes from Rockler, believe it or not. Standard Oil Company. Basically, when the government would, they would go to people like Rockefeller. They would go to these fat cats with a lot of money, and they would tax. They'd probably get a tax write-off or something. They wouldn't have to pay taxes, whatnot. Mm-hmm. And the company, the government kept running along because they'd had money. Well, the thing is, one of the things Rockefeller had done, a lot of people kind of look over it. He's one of the persons that first started like the school, like what they teach in school.
Yeah.
And how they teach in school. Okay.
Yep.
He started the 8-hour day. He started, you work.
The standardized testings. Yeah.
Exactly. He's that guy who started all that. So basically, if you think about it, they're only teaching us what they want us to know. They gotta keep us just dumb enough to keep working, just like what George Carlin says.
Yes.
Dumb enough to keep working, but not smart enough to question anything.
Yeah. Yeah. The problem is
where that comes from.
Yeah. I tell you, the problem is the internet.
Yeah, right. The thing is, I mean, the reason why they call the American Dream is because you have to be asleep to believe it.
Yeah, no doubt. There's so much coming out. And it's like, I'm just kind of sitting back waiting. Here's how I deal with it. I know a lot of things and I know what a lot of people are saying. And I just kind of watch. Because what my experience is, eventually, one story will stick over and over again. But I'm telling you, when I look at channelers and mediums that have been long dead, when did Casey die? He died in the 40s.
Right.
Edgar Casey, he died in the 40s. Dolores Cannon, I think she died in 70s or 80s maybe.
I'm not familiar with her.
Yeah, I mean, and now, and I'm telling you, this Bashar, this Daryl Anka, I've watched the documentary he did where they got his brain hooked up. I mean, they're combing through him to see, is this guy just making, but have you ever listened to that man talk? There's no way he's making that shit up. Nobody could make that up.
A lot of people who sold snake oil was able to convince a lot of people.
You're right. You know. But he would have to be so knowledgeable for him to match Hitchin, for him to match, what was the other guy, Von Donegan, for him to match Casey, for him to match Cannon. He must be a freaking genius.
How do you know he didn't read their stuff?
I've read a lot of stuff and I couldn't sit here and spout that off. How do you know? I couldn't sit here and spout that off without notes. He literally sits there 3-hour sessions and just blah, blah, blah. All verifiable. The majority, when he talks about it, everything he says is fucking verifiable. Other than details regarding himself and what they are doing right now. But when he talks about Cannon, he talks about Casey, and he talks about, I mean, yeah, I know about him. I've read the stuff. I can't sit there and spout off everything I read without making notes. He ain't sitting there with no notes unless he's got them written in the inside of his eyelids because his eyes are closed the whole time. I don't know, man.
Right. He could have a photographic memory too.
He would have
most of your people that are like,
he would have to.
Most of your people who are geniuses, memory.
He would have to. That would be the only explanation. That would be the only explanation. But I think that's pretty. Hey, just out of curiosity, what is the percentage of people with photographic memories? Let's find out.
I don't know.
What is the percentage of people with graphic memories?
I know Sheldon Cooper has a photographic memory,
but the guy who plays him does not. All right. Oh, now look at this. 2 to 10%.
How many geniuses are in the world?
It's virtually non-existent in adults. So this is a small percentage of children, 2 to 10% exhibit this ability, and it's virtually non-existent in adults.
Not saying it's not possible, though.
Everything is that way. But he's one I listen to. He's one I pay attention to what he's saying. And then I go here and see, can any of that be verified? There's a certain amount of discernment. There's a certain amount of discernment that you have to, perform nowadays, especially. The Bigfoot groups. See, that's my new hobby, is because the ghost thing has been pretty much proven to me. I really don't, my hobby now is Bigfoot. And so I'm a member of a few Bigfoot groups. I won't mention any of their names, but There's some I've just left because I tell you, AI has ruined Bigfoot. Everyone now, everyone, it's a all that's going to do is prove it is a body. And here's my thoughts. Then trap one, fine. You're not going to be able to do either. But if you watch, I watch Flash of Beauty. That's one of my favorites. And people have shot him. I don't know. What do you think?
What, Bigfoot?
What's your take on Bigfoot?
I think Bigfoot is an ape that they have not documented yet.
Interesting.
I think Bigfoot is, I mean, I don't know really how to say it. I mean, I know there was one time on TikTok when it was just starting out,
Mhm.
and there was this kid. I think he had Down syndrome, and him and his brother or whatever, they would go out in the woods. I'm not sure where they were. I think it was probably somewhere in the Appalachians or something like that in the east.
Mhm.
And they had these they were big creatures. They looked like silverback gorillas,
Hmm.
and like they're just out there running around. And I just kind of came to think about it. It's like, well, what if these are? Oh, that's Cuddles. Let me see if I can pull Cuddles here closer. Come here, Cuddles. Cuddles.
I got the door shut. Otherwise, Frank would be here.
That's Cuddles. So, like I was saying, I think actually it's sad are undocumented apes that we haven't yet either no one's shot and killed and has where a scientist can examine them or get put in a zoo or whatever to observe.
So you don't think
a
they're
lot of
any
people
more
didn't
than an
know.
animal?
I think so. I mean, I that's the way I look at it until I know
Yeah.
otherwise. Where
Yeah.
I have to stay with my with my belief on it. Now I will say this. I mean, think what was her name? Goodall.
Yeah.
It was Laura Goodall.
Jane Goodall.
Found the she's
Jane.
and she found the ape. She found gorillas
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Because a lot of people didn't believe they existed.
Yeah.
It was just a big myth. And then
Yeah.
lo and behold,
I don't think
Jane
it was
Goodall
her. I
finds
think it
them.
was before her, but she studied them for like 50 years or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah. Yeah.
She
But you're
she
right. They thought they
studied them,
were.
found out.
Yeah.
Yeah, they no one believed they existed. Then
Yeah.
all of a
I don't
sudden,
know.
here's this silverback gorilla.
Yeah. Here's the
You know?
thing. I don't know.
So it's like to me,
Why do
it's like
orbs
I want
follow them?
to think there's a lot of cool things about a Bigfoot. I want to think. I don't know. Why do orbs follow anybody?
True. Good point. Yeah,
That's the question.
that's true.
I mean, I'm not trying to be,
No,
a
yeah. No,
downer on
you're
this, but
right.
I mean,
No, that is right.
I think
That
there's
is
Bigfoot.
true.
I believe there's a Yeti, but I don't want to. I mean, I think that is a creature, but it's like until someone like captures one and
Yeah.
can be observed and studied, you know, there
Yeah.
is a case to be made. Every time they try to take a picture of him, it's always blurry. There's never a clear picture of Bigfoot. Not one clear picture of Bigfoot has been
Even
made.
if we do get one, we still question it because that's what I mean. AI has ruined. I can't trust
Yeah,
anything I see. Photograph or video. Either one. Now, video, so far AI isn't as good. You usually can spot the video, but man, some of this
yeah,
the images can't trust it. Cannot trust it. I try to look at details that I can think of, body type, where's their hands hanging, what do their ankles look like? What's their neck look like? These are things that I try to hone in on, but It's just too good. It's just getting too dang good. That's why
Yeah,
I tell you
JC,
what. What?
J, JC, because when that was all becoming a big thing, AI, he showed me this picture. He goes, they can't get the human body right. He showed me this picture. I guess he asked AI or whatever to draw up give him a picture, for like Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh
Well, it
yeah.
made all these different people, and at first glance, you're like, oh wow, that's really nice. But then when you got in there and looked at it closer, some people had 3 fingers, one person had
Oh yeah,
six,
or
and then
6.
one
Yeah.
person had one leg, and yeah, and then one person had 3 legs, and
Yeah. Yeah.
you're just like,
You have
oh,
to put
okay,
in there. You have to put in there. Make sure they have 5 fingers. Make sure they have blah blah. Yeah. Yeah. It's still not perfect. What was it? There's a guy
it's
on
pretty
TikTok.
funny.
Yeah. And he says every time if you do a picture with a clock in it, it's always going to say 10 o'clock. That's every clock in every picture is going to say 10 o'clock.
Oh wow,
If you do an AI picture with a clock in it, the clock's going to say 10 o'clock.
huh,
So, yeah,
I
you'll
did
have
not know
to,
that.
yeah, because it's just one of those things. And he says it's just all goes down to a matter of nobody cares enough to change the programming. Nobody cares. So they're not going to go in and make the changes. So the clocks show random times. It's always 10 o'clock.
Right?
That's how you tell. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. There's so much that's why I like to study it though, because that's the one thing that I don't know. Even though I know I'm not going to go hiking anytime soon, I probably never get to, you know, do anything. We used to ghost hunt all the time. We used to, and but now I'm
Uh
not going
huh.
to go hiking for Bigfoot. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Right.
I do miss I
At
do
this
miss
point in our
investigations.
age, at our age, like doing a ghost hunt in the middle of the thing, but going hiking out in the woods in the middle of the night, being in my 50s, being in my health
It's just
condition,
stupid. It's just
not so
stupid.
much.
Now, if I was
It's
with somebody who
ask. I got enough
was,
trouble.
yeah, I would go if I was with someone who was acting as like a guide. So, in other words, they were armed, they were smart, they were, someone who does this all the time, aware of the animals in the area, all of these things. But for just some random dumbass to say, oh, let's go Bigfoot hunting, I mean, you're just asking for trouble. You're just asking for trouble. Yeah. I mean, heck, they got
Yeah.
bear. They got bears coming in up on where you live, even. I mean, there's bears and stuff. You know what I mean? You can't
Oh
just
yeah.
go.
Grizzlies and brown bears. Those bears, when they wake up, they're hungry,
You
and
got
they're gonna.
you don't got
I've heard.
grizzlies, do you?
I don't think we have grizzlies out here
You
in
got
the
black
Ozarks,
bear.
but I
You got
mean,
black.
you got black bear.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm
They
saying.
can be formidable too.
Yeah. So
I
I
mean,
would
I've
love
heard
to do
stories
it.
that once they come out of hibernation, they
Yeah,
would like eat you whole,
yeah. I would love to do it, but
bone and all.
I got to do it with somebody who knows what they're doing. You know what I mean? But I tell you what, I wouldn't mind going on a good investigation, ghost wise. I haven't done that in a long time, have we?
Now, I tell you what, the GE Capital. Okay, what I was talking about, monogram.
Hmm. Hmm.
Where I first had my. That building's no longer there, right? They tore it
Yeah, I
down.
know. I know. I know.
I
The
know. I don't.
barbecue, the building the barbecue was in is there, but they gutted it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they gutted it. We used to uh we ran a barbecue years ago and it was haunted upstairs.
Oh
We
yeah.
got a lot
Definitely
of
haunted.
evidence. Yeah, it was haunted upstairs. Yeah. And it was a little haunted downstairs too, to be
Right.
perfectly honest. Somebody would always ring our bell that was on the counter. But we got a lot of EVP. You still got all those? I was
Yeah.
looking for them the other day. I don't think I have any.
I got them on my computer. And the thing is, I remember I was helping out at the barbecue one day, and the phone rang. I took the phone call, and there was like no answer. And then I got that eerie voice came across there saying hello. It was weird. It was not
Well,
normal. I mean, if this person was calling in on the phone, it was, it sounded far away,
yeah,
and like it was just not right. I
it was
can't explain
crazy.
it, and I'm tacking up the paranormal.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Some crazy shit went down there. I tell you what, I'd like to do the Boulevard Winery down here in Kansas City.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Yeah. We'll have to get we've got a lot of we'll have to get
Alex,
Alex on
he,
here. Ty, he's got some possible Bigfoot activity around his property. I'd like to get my friend Ray on here. He travels now mostly the southern states, but he's done some penitentiaries and stuff like that. Oh yeah, we want to get him on here. And listen, if you are somebody who wants to be on the show, message me or Tom. I'll have all that info in the description where you can contact us. And yeah, shoot us something. We'd love to talk to you. Let's tell some stories. Let's tell some
yeah.
stories. Yeah. That's about all we got today. You got anything else, man?
Hey, I got nothing else. I mean, we'll talk about a lot of other stuff. I want to talk
Oh
about the
yeah.
Younger Dryas and the flood, Noah's flood, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I think
There's
we
a
kind
there's a
of did
lot
a
more stuff than just paranormal and Bigfoot. There's
the Anunnaki.
Today we're just shooting from the hip.
We're just shooting from the hip. Yeah, the Younger Dryas, uh Anunnaki. I keep saying Anunnaki. The Anunnaki, I would talk more about that. I'd like to really talk some more about the CE5 and Stephen Greer stuff. I want to talk more about that. You'll have to look that up. I'll message it to you. That's what's going on right
Okay.
now. He is in the thick of it. He's the one who briefs the presidents as they come in. He's the one behind
So he's
getting everything in front of the freaking Senate committees. Remember when I got on Central States Paranormal UFO and live streamed the hearing,
yeah,
the government hearings? He's behind all that. He's behind
that's pretty
all of
cool.
that. Yeah. So I'm telling you what, it all comes down to money. It all comes down
Oh yeah,
to a bunch of things being made free that a bunch of people don't want them to be free. That is literally what I have determined is the whole problem.
right.
Free
I
energy,
agree.
free fuel, free energy, free. There's a lot of money in energy and fuel.
Right. So if you make it free, then no one can,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because this crap that they keep throwing at us, electric cars that take how much fossil fuels to
Yeah.
your battery in your electric car takes how much fossil fuels to make. It's just stupid. I mean,
Right.
come on. And, Tesla already they had to release those papers. I've got those papers somewhere. I printed them out.
What,
The
the
Tesla,
Nikola Tesla?
yeah, when they went in and cleaned out his apartment
Yep.
and all that stuff. And they had to release that stuff too. And he had it. Free energy, 0 point energy. They
Just
cut that. They cut that right now. They're like, no,
right.
we're gonna make you crazy. We're gonna make this man look crazy. He's lost his mind. We're gonna hide the evidence.
Right.
So that's what it's all coming down to, man. Well, thank you for joining us. for our first episode. This is going to be fun. We've got lots to talk about. We're going to do our thing. All right.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to keep doing this.
Say bye, Tommy. But you stay here. I'm going to end the
Bye-bye.
recording. All right. See you next week.